L'impérialisme n'a pas d'amis.
Imperialism has no friends.
L'impérialisme vous utilise.
Imperialism uses you, and when it finishes using you, it does with you what it wants.
Cuba, Libya, Venezuela, and Chile are examples of nations that have suffered from US interventions because of their socialist policies, justified by false intelligence to advance imperialism. Cuba has endured decades of sanctions for nationalization of strategic sectors of the economy, supporting African liberation and socialism, while Libya was destroyed because Gaddafi rejected US dominance.
Malema has just sent a stern warning to Donald Trump. This is one of the most beautiful video I've seen today in the earth or in the face of Africa. Malema is supporting Ibrahim Traore because one of the key words that Malema is saying on this video that I'm going to show you is one of the things that Ibrahim Traore is saying. And the fact that I see a opposition leader from South Africa supporting the government is beautiful. You know, if you are coming together for the betterment of South Africans, if you are coming together for the better of your people, that's beautiful. It doesn't matter whether you are opposition or you are the leading leader. Now, let's watch this video from Julius Malema and then we will react on it.
Deputy Speaker, on the 20th of September 2001, former President of United States of America, George Bush, declared what became known as the War on Terror on Iraq and Afghanistan, stating that, I quote, "It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated." What followed was a massive disinformation campaign to justify the 2003 invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan under the pretext of locating and destroying weapons of mass destruction. Decades later, no such weapons were ever found. This invasion was about minerals and oil reserves, not weapons of mass destruction. Iraq and Afghanistan have never recovered. Cuba, Libya, Venezuela, and Chile are examples of nations that have suffered from US interventions because of their socialist policies, justified by false intelligence to advance imperialism. Cuba has endured decades of sanctions for nationalization of strategic sectors of the economy, supporting African liberation and socialism, while Libya was destroyed because Gaddafi rejected US dominance. We raise these historical facts because history must guide us in everything we do. When Donald Trump declares that, I open quote, bad things are happening in South Africa without evidence, we must not assume that the USA is misinformed. Instead, we must question the real intention behind such statement. After Trump's remarks, the US froze foreign aid globally under the pretext of assessing alignment with the policy outlook. For South Africa, this meant PEPFAR funding of HIV/AIDS response was under threat. On 26 February 2025, the freeze became permanent, terminating funding indefinitely. The US aggression towards South Africa is nothing more than Israel's revenge for our moral stance in support of Palestine. Meanwhile, some of us have been labeled international criminals, a designation used before the West assassinates those who opposed its agenda. Before invading the nations, the US always fabricates human rights violation to justify intervention. Today, same tactics are being used against South Africa. The growing calls by right-wing groups for foreign funding to establish independent states and to be armed by foreign interest must be recognized as part of a broader plan. This is the early stage of economic isolation, leading ultimately to military intervention. Next, AGOA will be terminated, escalating tensions between USA and South Africa. Our government must dismiss opportunistic African and racist groups exploiting US imperialism to fund their racist fantasies of an independent state. That will never happen. We will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America. Deputy Speaker, Trump and the USA are not demonstrating strength. The USA is merely displaying an advanced stage of capitalism, which is imperialism. Trump engages in transactional and manipulative relationships with the world like it is his backyard. The hostility towards South Africa does not come from fraudulent boers spreading disinformation, but from America's imperialist agenda. The USA, home of the world's most sophisticated intelligence agencies, agencies that fabricate evidence to justify their invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, and orchestrated the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi, Patrice Lumumba, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X, cannot now claim to be victims of disinformation from a minor racist group based in Orania. The USA has openly embraced the golden age of imperialism, extending its power through threats and the prevention and termination of foreign aid. In response, our government foolishly seeks to explain our policies to a maniacal president as if the USA were a victim of misinformation. The USA knows exactly what it's doing and why it is doing it. At a Golden Sachs event of the 27th of February 2025, South Africa President Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa stated, I quote, "Trump got the wrong end of the stick of the country's land policies. I completely reject this notion. The USA, home of Elon Musk's platform, X platform, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Tesla, Starlink, and Silicon Valley, the global hub of data collection, cannot claim to be misinformed. They are the greatest perpetrators of disinformation. The USA is the greatest perpetrator of disinformation. It is now using its own falsehood as justification to attack South Africa. This government refused to acknowledge the real issues. We are being punished for supporting Palestine against apartheid Israel, nothing else. The USA does not believe there is a white genocide or land grabs in South Africa. These lies are useful tools to justify economic aggression and seek to weaken our moral authority to condemn Israel's genocide. Foreign aid has always been a tool for Western imperialism and control. It must end with South Africa. We must expand our trade and strengthen relationship with China, India, Russia, Brazil, and Singapore, while emphasizing African unity. The USA is on a full mission to extort the world into submission, and as a result will become increasingly isolated. Our sovereignty, security, and economic prosperity on rejecting the American Golden Age, a project of imperialism. The world must move forward without the USA if true progress is to be achieved. We are not the puppets of the USA. We will never be bullied by Donald Trump and his friends. South Africa remains an independent state, which is not handled by the USA. The majority of South Africans love their whites. They worship them everywhere they go. Why will they kill them? They always seek white validation and affirmation of whiteness. It is a black talent. It is a black talent. It is not a black talent until white people say so. If it is a black skill or innovation, it is not until white say so. If it is black quality product, it will have to pass many hands before they endorse this product. Any political party without white endorsement will never receive any electoral support and financial support until white establishment says so. Like the Cuban people will never give up on our freedom against American imperialism. We must unashamedly continue to stand with Palestine and Russia. We are product of international solidarity. We are Palestinians and they are Africans. We will die shoulder by shoulder with Palestinian people. We will be buried next to their graves because no amount of American bullying and financial dictatorship will separate us. Not even death will succeed. From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. We are not product of land theft or genocide. We are not grabbing any land, but claiming what rightfully belongs to us. We are not engaged in what genocide. Instead, we are coexisting with our white murderers. Whatever it takes, this land shall be expropriated and will be returned to its rightful owners. Victory is certain.
Yo, welcome back. Now, I do not want to repeat a lot of words that Malema has said, but he has told Donald Trump that South Africa cannot be bullied. You cannot bull us. This is a real, or he is a real fighter for the Africans. He is a real soldier for the Africans or for the black people. And that's why a lot of black Americans or Africans in diaspora love Julius Malema, because he is always on the point. He calls a spade a spade. And one of the things is fighting for is imperialism. And when you talk about imperialism, is one of the things that Ibrahim Traore has been talking about. Ibrahim Traore has laid some of issues, imperialism being one of them, Western influence, this Western aid, because as we know that Western aid made a country, or always makes a country to be a captive. A lot of countries are dying into poverty or are digging themselves into poverty because of this Western aid, like US aid and IMF and World Bank, etc., etc. And when a country found itself from this mess, it is so hard for them to come out. And that's why Ibrahim Traore is fighting very hard to make sure that his own country sustains their own thing. He goes and put force in agriculture, security, education to make sure that the country of Burkina Faso is thriving. Now, Julius Malema has sent warning to Donald Trump, telling him that we cannot be bullied. And the tension between Julius Malema and Donald Trump did not start just recently, because I don't know the reason why Donald Trump is on the issue of South Africa. Is it because of the few racist people who are found in Orania, as Malema said? Because Orania is a town of white only. And I get it racist where you have a town of only white in a black country. This is one of the most racist things in South Africa that's happening right now. And I think the community of Orania, that's Trump is getting his, vocals from there. Okay, so Malema has been accusing Trump for a number of issues. And one of the issues is that Trump racism and xenophobic. Malema has strongly criticized Donald Trump for his racist inflammatory remarks about various minority groups, including Mexicans, black people, and immigrants. Malema, who is vocal advocate to the rights of marginalized communities, sees Trump's actions as part of a broader pattern of white supremacy and colonialism. Okay? So, the tension between Malema and Donald Trump did not start just way back. Another thing why Malema and Donald Trump don't get along is because Julius Malema has also criticized Trump's foreign policy, which has perceived as imperialist and focused on maintaining U.S. hegemony around the world. Malema has condemned Donald Trump's actions in the Middle East, such as withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal and his approach to Israel-Palestine conflicts, which he felt America favored Israel on this. And you may ask yourself, why is Julius Malema supporting, or why is South Africa supporting Palestine? And that's where the problem is in between Trump and South Africa. Because Trump or America is supporting Israel, but South Africa is supporting Palestine. And the reason why South Africa is supporting Palestine, according to a lot of people are asking me that question, is because that historically, South Africa and Palestine has gone on the same, the same struggles. So South Africa's history of apartheid, which was the empathetic to Palestine cause. Now, the Palestine struggle to self-determination and against occupation is often compared to South Africa's own struggle against apartheid. During the apartheid era, South Africa received international support from many countries and movements. And now, many South Africans see supporting Palestine as part of honoring that legacy of international solidarity. And that's why South Africa is supporting Palestine, because they have the same problem of, South Africa had this problem of discovering themselves, and that's why, or that's what Palestine is going through. So it is just, giving back to the people who supported South Africa. Another thing why South Africa is supporting Palestine is because of the political leadership. Now, ANC, that is a African National Congress of South Africa, which led to fight against apartheid and now governs South Africa, has consistently voiced support to Palestine. ANC has historically seen the Palestinian struggle as aligned with their own struggles. So, South Africa's first democratic president Nelson Mandela was a vocal advocate for Palestinian rights, and his stance continued to influence the country's policies up to now. You see, Julius Malema is an opposition, but he is in support of what Nelson Mandela started. He is in support of Palestine, and that's is the biggest problem that is facing South Africa, or tension between South Africa and America. Another thing is many South Africans view Israel occupation of Palestine as a violation of human rights, echoing the principle that shaped their own fight against apartheid for many. Now, it is just human rights and justice. Many South Africans see this as inhuman, so they have to support Palestine because of that. So, that is the reason why Julius, or South Africa at large, is supporting Palestine. And that's where they got troubles with America. Now, another thing, as we continue, why Malema and Donald Trump has this tension is because Malema has been particularly critical of Trump's dismissive attitude towards Africa. Malema and EFF, along with other African leaders and activists, have been outspoken against Trump's reported comments about African nations, which he allegedly described as shithole countries. That's what Trump calls some African countries. And Malema condemned these remarks as racist. So whatever tension is there between Donald Trump and Julius Malema is not personal. It's because of the people. It's for the interests of Africans. And that's why Julius Malema get a lot of support from other Africans or black people or Africans in diaspora, because him being so vocal towards America and towards Trump, him sending warning to Trump, is not personal. Is because of the people of Africa. That's what a lot of people of Africa thinks, but they cannot say it. But they are using Julius Malema to channel their voice to the world. Now, come to think of why I said Julius Malema has joined hands with Ibrahim Traore, because a lot of policies that Ibrahim Traore wants to achieve, Malema has talked about it. As I said earlier, imperialism, the aids, foreign aids, the foreign influence, because what Trump is trying to do is to jeopardize the country of South Africa. What Trump is trying to do is to try to influence the outcome and the activities that's going on in South Africa. And by doing that, it's like getting just control over South Africa. It's just colonizing South Africa again. But we as Africans people, we as EFF, we as ANC, we will not accept that. And that's why we are calling for the support of countries like China. Let's join hands with China, Brazil, Russia, because these countries does not have a history of influencing political stance of a certain country, does not have history of mingling within the business of a country, does not have history of influencing laws that are being passed in a certain country. What they do, like China, they just do legit business and moving on. So, Julius Malema, Ibrahim Traore, and a lot of leaders, some of them are not coming out openly. They are against this imperialism. They are against foreign aids. They are against Western influence. They are against a number of things, neo-colonialism, and everything that affects a black person or an African. So, I just need Julius Malema to go to Burkina Faso, meet Ibrahim Traore, and let them form a force that will change the course of Africa. Of course, the course of Africa has already been changed, but we need that power. We need, when we get daring presidents like Ibrahim Traore, and we get a very vocal, true and daring leader like Julius Malema, tell me where this country will go. This country of South Africa, Burkina Faso, the country of Kenya, Ghana, in short, African as a continent or Africa as a continent will thrive. Now, Trump is bullying Africa. His influence and politics and the words he says towards Africa, it is racist. And we cannot sit down and forced to support the United States because we are being bullied, or because they have cut off their aid. We as African countries, or the leaders of Africa, they have to sit down and find ways they can generate their own food, find ways they can create income through taxes, improve your agriculture, improve education. We can run our own countries or make friendship with different people like China, Brazil, and Russia. It's not a must we have America on our bucket list. Not a must. So whatever Julius Malema is saying on this video is so amazing. And I love how he is getting support from all over. And I love how he is bold, fearless. I love how he just face you and tell you. That's how African leaders should be. That's how African presidents should be, calling a spade a spade. Now, tell me what you think in the comment section about this video, about what Malema has said. Do you think Trump is in hot soup in South Africa? Do you think Trump is high time to stop F around with South Africa? Tell me what you think. Until next episode, peace be with you.